My name is Maurice Wilson II, and I am Black History. I think the significance is twofold. I think there's a symbolism of someone seeing someone like themselves, right? So there's a hope that's associated with being in a position or walking into an office and going, wow, there's someone like me who's in a position of power, a decision maker. And that's always something that I've strived for in my career. I think the other piece, though, is really being an agent of change and leveling the playing field to the extent that you can. And that's the harder part, that's the larger work, but I do think that we have to be responsible for both. I'd hate to just be a symbol for people and no one else could come after me for another 30 years. I'd love to create a situation where the most qualified, the most exceptional are always getting their opportunities. And I've found that that's the case, diversity always is included. I had thoughts about it. Through my career, I would say I've been the first in a lot of positions. College, first Black student body president, multiple times in the military, and I think multiple times in my corporate career being kind of the first to take over a certain area or a certain position. I remember the first conversations and I just thought it was a stretch. I didn't think I might not have come off as the ideal candidate, and so I was preparing myself for however things would transpire. And I thought it was interesting when I had some follow-up conversations, it really was about connecting. People work best with folks they connect with. And I think the initial conversations, I didn't make it clear how my expertise and also who I am would be of value to the food bank. And so I think upon getting here and learning how we serve, and then people getting a sense of who I am, I hope that everyone feels comfortable with the impact and that they made a good decision. My driving force is really the legacy. It's my legacy. It's who I am. My grandfather, was a bus driver and a cab driver for over 40 years in Chicago. He actually saved some folks from a burning building and finished his route. I know it sounds untrue, but throughout my family's history, we've always been those people. We traced our roots back pretty far, and in all the stories, we've been resigned to moving forward. And so that's something that's my driving force, is just knowing that, when my great aunt was working from can't see to can't see, and that's how she described it. They had, the minute that there was a shimmer of light, they had to be working, and they couldn't stop until you couldn't see anything in those fields. So for her to persevere, for her to survive in the hopes that I would be here, that's my driving force. That's who and what I am. An inspiration for me, I would say, living, there are a few people. Tim Cooper is probably my personal hero. He is the head of grocery distribution in Walmart, pretty high up, although he's a shorter guy, and he would laugh if he heard that joke. But Tim was one of the first African Americans to really get to a high level in Fortune 5 company. And how he carried himself was just, it was something to be marveled at. He moved in ways that I couldn't, and he swam in waters that I wasn't comfortable with, and I didn't understand at the time. And so, I just admired that from afar at first, and then we became peers, and then ultimately friends. And so, I really appreciated that. For me, every space I went, people were telling me that I was special. And part of that's true. I think there's definitely things that are different about me than other people. But I also, remember all of those people who, based on circumstances, some being out of their control, would never make it into those rooms. And so I always had a weight on me. And I think that was the piece that, Tim really taught me is, you do have to take that weight off. You don't have to represent for every individual, but you can be a symbol for the unseen, but then also be hope for those people that are here. I love that we honor it in the month, but Black history is American history. And the perspective that I take is, we fought and died for folks to have rights that we didn't enjoy. What's more American than that, right? The period of Reconstruction, just less than a decade out of slavery, you had Black millionaires, you had Congress people, you had businessmen. What's more American than that? The first Black naval officers, if you ever get an opportunity, it's a great story just about excellence. And so I consider all those to be a part of, not just Black history, but American history. I think we add a richness to it. There's a flavor that just wouldn't be if we weren't in it. And so I'm proud of our portion, and I'm proud of all of our history, even the parts that are difficult, because they're defining. They're either moments that we have to acknowledge and move forward, or they're things that we have to always remember so that we don't transgress in them. The Black experience is different for each individual, and so my hang-ups or the things that I struggle with are not going to be the same as someone else. So when I think about what's the burden to carry, I recognize that society will always see me Black first, and there's a way that I want to represent for all of us in that space, and so I do feel a responsibility for that. It's something that there'll be something that needs to be said, and it may not be my grievance, but it just needs to be said because someone who looks like me is in a room that they've never been, and I have to be that person. I think that's how I honor myself, my ancestors, and I believe my people all together. But I try not to get caught up in things that are personally binding. So each person has their own situation. I think you have circumstances, you have how you think about it, and then what you do about it. I'm very much about action. So I tell people all the time, I'm not the person to come to when you just want to talk about it. When you're at a point when you want to do something about it, I'm a person you should reach out to, right? Because I can't frame myself to be a victim. I want to process through all my feelings, but I also know that moving forward is what's necessary.